The blue light from the human ship grew brighter until it was almost blinding. Zethrax's crew scrambled to adjust their view screens. Across the fleet, 200 alien warships powered up their weapons and shields. They prepared for an attack they could not comprehend. "Fire all forward batteries," Zethrax commanded. But before the order could be executed, something happened. Something impossible. The Defiant did not launch missiles. It did not fire energy beams. It did not deploy any visible projectiles at all. Instead, the blue light suddenly pulsed outward in a wave that moved faster than sensors could track. It was not an explosion. It was not a blast wave. It was something else entirely. The wave passed through the first line of 50 alien warships in an instant. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The ships continued moving. Their lights remained on. Then, as if someone had flipped a switch across the entire front line, everything stopped. Shields collapsed. Not gradually, but instantly. Power cores went dark. Weapon systems failed. Life support flickered and died. Engine thrust ceased. Communication arrays went silent. 50 massive warships became nothing more than dead metal floating in space. Zethrax stared at his tactical display in horror. 50 ships gone, not destroyed, not damaged, simply dead. Every system had failed simultaneously. It was as if the technology itself had forgotten how to function. "Report," he shouted. His voice cracked with a mixture of anger and fear. His sensors officer's hands shook as he worked his console. "Commander, I cannot explain this. The ships are intact. No hull breaches. No explosions. But every electronic system has failed. Power cores are inert. It is like they were never turned on at all." "Get me communications with the forward line," Zethrax demanded. "Sir, there are no communications. Everything is dead." "Wait, I am picking up emergency beacons. Life support has failed on most ships. The crews are activating emergency oxygen supplies." Panic spread through the fleet like wildfire. Commanders from every species began shouting over communication channels. Some demanded to know what weapon had been used. Others screamed orders to retreat. A few called for immediate revenge. The unified front of the Galactic Council's fleet shattered in seconds. On the bridge of the Defiant, Captain Vasquez watched her tactical display with grim satisfaction. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Commander James Chen, stood beside her chair. "Quantum cascade disruptors fired successfully," Chen reported. His voice was professional, but his hands gripped his console tightly. 50 targets neutralized. 0 friendly casualties. Weapon recharge time is 90 seconds. Vasquez nodded slowly. She felt no joy in this. Only necessity. She had hoped it would not come to this. She had hoped the Council would listen to reason. But hope was not a strategy, and humanity had learned hard lessons about relying on the mercy of others. "Open a channel to the remaining fleet," she ordered. The communication systems connected to every alien ship still functioning. 150 warships received her message simultaneously. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the UNS Defiant. You have witnessed what our technology can do. We did not come here to wage war. We came to claim what is rightfully ours. We came to be heard. We came to be respected." She paused, letting her words sink in. "You have 30 seconds to withdraw your fleet. We do not wish to destroy you. We do not want to kill your crews. We simply want you to understand that humanity will not be dismissed any longer." Zethrax felt rage boiling inside him. His warriors did not retreat. His species did not surrender to inferiors. 50 years ago, humans were still struggling to reach their own moon. Now they dared to threaten the greatest military force in the galaxy. "All ships attack Formation Delta," he commanded. "We will crush this insolent species." But his order met resistance. The Kelverix Dominion ships began moving backward. Their captain's voice came over the command channel. "Commander Zethrax, we are withdrawing. We did not sign up for this kind of engagement, you coward." Zethrax roared. "Stand and fight." The Ithkara swarm ships also began breaking formation. Other species followed. Within seconds, Zethrax watched as his fleet fragmented. 150 ships became 100, then 80, then 60. His supposed allies were abandoning him. Only his core Vexatorian ships remained. 40 vessels loyal to him personally. 40 ships against one tiny human frigate. Vasquez watched as the alien fleet scattered. She had known this would happen. The Galactic Council was not really unified. It was a collection of self-interested species held together by convenience. When faced with real danger, that convenience evaporated. Chen checked his readouts. Captain, the quantum disruptors are ready to fire again. Hold fire, Vasquez said. Let them make their choice. On Earth, billions of humans watched through live feeds transmitted across light years of space. This moment would define humanity's place in the galaxy. Either they would be respected, or they would be forced to prove themselves again and again until the message was clear. Zethrax's tactical officer spoke quietly. Commander, intelligence has analyzed the human ship's design. If one exploration vessel has this capability, their actual military fleet must be far more powerful. We have no data on Earth's true defensive capacity. The word struck Zethrax like a physical blow. He had been a warrior for 50 years. He had won every battle through strength and courage, but wisdom came from survival, not pride. He looked at the small human ship glowing on his view screen. He thought of his crew. He thought of his 40 ships. Finally, he opened a private channel to Vasquez. Just the two of them. Captain, I need to understand. How did you do this? Our scientists said this kind of technology was impossible. Vasquez met his gaze through the view screen. Commander, impossible is just another word for difficult. Humanity has spent 5 decades turning impossible into reality. We did it because we had to. Because we knew we would not be welcomed. Because we knew we would be tested. We built this weapon not to conquer, but to survive. Zethrax felt something shift inside him. This was not the response of a primitive species. This was the response of survivors, of beings who had climbed from nothing to challenge the galaxy itself. You have proven your point, human, he said quietly. What happens now? Zethrax sat in his command chair, his 4 eyes fixed on the small human ship that had destroyed half his fleet in seconds. Around him, his bridge crew worked frantically. They analyzed data, ran simulations, and tried to understand what had happened. The answer kept coming back the same. Impossible. Yet it had happened. His 40 remaining ships held position in a defensive formation. They were ready to fight, but Zethrax could feel the fear radiating from every crew member. They had watched their sister ships die without firing a shot. They had seen the impossible become real. Commander, his intelligence officer said hesitantly, I have completed analysis of human activity in council space over the past 6 months. Speak, Zethrax commanded. Sir, we have recorded 27 human vessels passing through various sectors. All were classified as exploration or survey ships. All were similar in size to the Defiant. None showed any aggressive behavior. We dismissed them as irrelevant. The officer paused. Sir, I believe we made a terrible mistake. Explain. What if none of them were exploration vessels? What if all of them were weapons platforms like the Defiant? The humans have been testing us, seeing how we would react, learning our fleet positions and capabilities, and we ignored them completely. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Zethrax felt cold dread spreading through his body. If that analysis was correct, then humanity had been planning this confrontation for months. They had prepared carefully. They had studied their enemies. Meanwhile, the Council had dismissed humans as primitive newcomers unworthy of serious attention. How many ships does Earth possess? Zethrax asked. Unknown, sir. We have never conducted reconnaissance of their home system. We assumed they were too weak to matter. Now we realize we have no intelligence on their actual military capacity at all. Zethrax closed his eyes. In 40 campaigns, he had never made such a fundamental error. Know your enemy. It was the first rule of warfare. He had broken that rule because of arrogance and prejudice. On the Defiant, Captain Vasquez received an incoming transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Martinez's face appeared on a secondary screen visible only to her. Captain, the entire system is watching, Martinez said. 14 billion humans are holding their breath. The Council is monitoring this situation. Every major species has eyes on Proxima Gate right now. You have full authorization to proceed as necessary. Understood, Admiral, Vasquez replied. But I hope we can end this without more bloodshed. So do we all. But remember, Captain, we are not just fighting for 3 star systems. We are fighting for humanity's future in the galaxy. Make them understand that we cannot be dismissed. The transmission ended. Vasquez felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. She had trained for this moment for 5 years. The entire quantum disruptor program had been built around the possibility of this exact scenario. Humanity had gambled everything on this technology. On this moment. On her, Chen checked his console. Captain, sensors indicate the remaining alien ships are holding position. No aggressive movements, but they have not withdrawn either. What about rescue operations for the disabled ships? Several species are dispatching recovery vessels. They are staying well outside weapons range. Estimated time for crew evacuation is 3 hours. Vasquez nodded. That was good. She did not want unnecessary deaths. The disabled crews were not their enemies. Ignorance and prejudice were the real enemies today. A new communication request came through. It was from a Kelvarix Dominion captain. Vasquez accepted it. The insectoid captain appeared on screen. His translator converted his clicking speech into English. Captain Vasquez, I am Captain Thixerol of the Kelvarix forces. I wish to open negotiations on behalf of the Dominion. We believe this conflict is unnecessary. We propose immediate talks regarding the disputed systems. Vasquez raised an eyebrow. 10 minutes ago, this same captain had been mocking humanity. Now he wanted to negotiate. Fear was a powerful motivator. Captain Thixerol, I appreciate your offer. However, the Galactic Council as a whole must recognize humanity's claims. Individual agreements are insufficient. I understand. But the Council will need time to convene. Perhaps we could arrange a temporary ceasefire? We are not at war, Captain. We are simply defending our rights. When the Council is ready to speak with us as equals, we will listen. More communication requests flooded in. The Ithkara wanted to talk. The Praxil observers requested a formal meeting. Even some of the minor species that had barely participated in the blockade now wanted to establish diplomatic relations with Earth. Zethrax watched all of this happen. His fleet had fractured completely. The Unified Council enforcement action had become a chaotic scramble for advantage. Species were already positioning themselves to benefit from humanity's demonstration of power. They wanted to be humanity's friends now, not because they respected humans, but because they feared them. Commander, his tactical officer said quietly, we could still attack. 40 ships against 1. Even with their weapon, the odds might favor us. Zethrax considered this. His warrior instincts screamed at him to attack, to avenge the insult to his pride, to prove that the Vextorian Empire did not surrender. But his mind, his experience, his hard-earned wisdom told him something different. Tactical officer, what is our probability of victory? The officer ran calculations. If the human weapon has limitations we have not seen, perhaps 60%. If it does not, perhaps 10%. If there are more human ships waiting nearby, 0%. And what do we gain from victory? The officer hesitated. Sir? If we destroy this one ship, what changes? Does it make humanity disappear?
Does it erase the technology they have developed?
Does it prevent them from building more ships, better ships, stronger ships? No, Commander. It would only anger them. Exactly. We would win one battle and start a war we cannot possibly win, because we do not even understand our enemy. Zethrax opened a direct channel to Vasquez again. She accepted immediately. Her face was calm, but he could see the tension in her eyes. She was worried. That told him something important. She was not confident. She was not certain of victory. She was gambling just as he was. Captain Vasquez, I have a question for you, Zethrax said. How many ships like the Defiant does Earth possess? Vasquez smiled, but she did not answer. That smile told him everything he needed to know. Either Earth had many such ships, or she wanted him to believe they did. Either way, attacking would be foolish. I thought so, Zethrax said. You have made your point, human. But I need you to understand something. I cannot simply retreat. My culture, my honor, they demand that I respond to this humiliation. Then respond with wisdom instead of violence. Vasquez replied. You faced unknown technology. You made a tactical withdrawal to preserve your forces and gather intelligence. There's no dishonor in that. Zethrax considered her words. She was giving him a way out. A way to retreat without losing everything. It was the offer of someone who understood warriors, who respected his position even while defeating him. The standoff continued. 40 Vexitorian warships faced one small human frigate. Minutes passed like hours. Every commander in the galaxy watched and waited to see what would happen next. This moment would define the relationship between humanity and the rest of the galaxy for generations to come. Zethrax stood on his bridge, his mind racing through possibilities. He had fought against insectoid swarms that devoured entire planets. He had battled quantum entities that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. He had commanded fleets against enemies that could manipulate gravity itself. He had won every time through superior strength and tactical brilliance. But this was different. This enemy had not defeated him with strength. They had defeated him with knowledge. With technology his scientists had declared impossible. With preparation and patience while everyone underestimated them. "Commander," his science officer spoke up, "I have been analyzing the quantum disruptor weapon. I may have found something important." "Show me," Sethrax ordered. The science officer brought up complex energy readings on the main display. "Sir, the weapon works by manipulating fundamental forces at the subatomic level. It essentially convinces matter that technology should not function, but this creates enormous stress on the firing ship itself. Look at these readings from the Defiant." Sethrax studied the data. He saw power fluctuations, structural stress indicators, heat signatures that were climbing steadily. "What am I looking at?" "Commander, the human ship is destabilizing. The weapon damages the firing vessel almost as much as the target. If they fire again, there is a significant probability that the Defiant will destroy itself. The captain is sitting on a bomb, hoping we do not realize it." Hope surged through Sethrax. Then doubt followed immediately. "Are you certain?" "No, sir. It is possible they have found a way to mitigate the effects, or perhaps they consider the risk acceptable. But the physics suggests they are in danger." Sethrax opened the channel to Vasquez once more. He needed to know the truth.
"Captain, I am going to ask you a direct question."
"If you fire your weapon again, will your ship survive?" Vasquez looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled slightly. "Commander, are you willing to test that theory with 40 ships full of your crew?" It was not an answer, but it told him what he needed to know. She would fire again if necessary. She would sacrifice herself and her crew if that was what it took. This was not arrogance. This was absolute commitment. "Your species is insane," Sethrax said quietly. "No, Commander. We are determined. There is a difference. For millions of years, humanity survived on a dangerous planet. We were not the strongest. We were not the fastest. We did not have claws or armor or venom. We survived because we refused to quit. Because we adapted. Because we learned that sometimes you have to risk everything to protect what matters." Sethrax felt something shift in his understanding. He had viewed humans as newcomers, as primitives who stumbled into space travel and got lucky. But that was wrong. Humanity had not gotten lucky. They had earned their place through millions of years of surviving against impossible odds. "Tell me about your world," Sethrax said. "I want to understand." Vasquez seemed surprised by the request, but she answered, "Earth is a beautiful planet, Commander. But it is also deadly. We have weather patterns that can destroy entire cities. We have predators that hunted us when we were weak. We have diseases that killed millions. We have volcanoes, earthquakes, floods, droughts. For thousands of years we fought against our own planet just to survive." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "Then we fought against each other. Wars that killed tens of millions. Weapons that could destroy our entire civilization. We came so close to ending ourselves so many times. But we learned. Slowly, painfully, we learned to cooperate, to work together, to turn our creativity toward building instead of destroying. And then you reached for the stars," Sethrax said. "Yes. And we found a galaxy full of species who looked at us and saw nothing worth respecting. We were mocked, dismissed, told we were too primitive, too violent, too young, given the worst trade agreements, denied basic rights, treated like children who did not deserve a voice." Vasquez's eyes hardened. "So we went home. We took our best scientists, our greatest engineers, our most brilliant theorists, and we told them to make the impossible possible. To find the one thing that would make the galaxy pay attention. It took 50 years. 50 years of work. Trillions of credits. The entire scientific community focused on one goal. And we did it, Commander. We made them pay attention." Sethrax understood now. Humanity had not built a weapon. They had built respect. They had forced the galaxy to acknowledge them through the only language that seemed to work. "Power. What will you do if I attack?" he asked. "I will fire again. My ship might survive. It might not. But your 40 ships will become dead metal floating in space. Your crews will die because you were too proud to make the smart choice. And Earth will send more ships. Better ships. They will hunt down everyone responsible for this attack. Not out of revenge, Commander. Out of necessity. Because we cannot allow the galaxy to think we are weak. And if I retreat, then this ends today. You report that you encountered unknown technology. You evacuated your crews from the disabled ships. You made a tactical decision to gather more intelligence before engaging further. The council debates. Diplomats talk. Eventually, we reach an agreement. 3 systems remain in dispute, but at least we are talking instead of dying. Zethrax's tactical officer spoke urgently. Commander, long-range sensors are detecting new contacts. 3 ships emerging from quantum space. They match the configuration of the Defiant. Reinforcements. Or a bluff. 3 more human ships appeared on the display. They took up positions around the Defiant. 4 ships now, still vastly outnumbered. But if each one had the same weapon. Commander, we are receiving a transmission from Earth Command. His communications officer reported. They are demanding we withdraw immediately and release all claims to the disputed systems. They state that any hostile action will be considered an act of war against humanity. Zethrax looked at the tactical display. 4 human ships, 40 of his own. Unknown capabilities on both sides. Unknown risks. Unknown outcomes. Everything about this situation was unknown. But one thing was certain. If he attacked and lost, his entire species would pay the price. If he attacked and won, humanity would return with greater force. There was no victory here. Only different types of defeat unless he changed what victory meant. Captain Vasquez, he said slowly, I am going to retreat. But not because I fear you. Not because your weapon defeated me. I retreat because I realize that we have both been fighting the wrong battle. What do you mean? Vasquez asked. You want respect. You want recognition. You want to be heard. These are not things that should require weapons. They are rights that every intelligent species deserves. The Council was wrong to deny you. I was wrong to dismiss you. Perhaps this confrontation was necessary to teach us that lesson. Vasquez nodded slowly. Perhaps it was, Commander. I regret the lives lost today, but I do not regret standing up for my species. Nor should you, Zethrax replied. He turned to his crew. All ships prepare for quantum jump. We are withdrawing from this system. Send rescue ships for our disabled vessels. The Council will hear my full report. The Vextorian fleet began its withdrawal. 40 massive warships turned slowly and moved toward the quantum jump coordinates. Zethrax watched from his bridge as the distance between his forces and the human ships grew larger. There was no shame in his heart, only a strange sense of relief mixed with curiosity about what would happen next. Commander, his second officer said quietly, the crew wishes to know how we should report this engagement. Zethrax considered carefully. We will report the truth. We encountered technology far beyond our understanding. We lost 50 ships without firing a shot. We withdrew to preserve lives and gather intelligence. There is no dishonor in admitting we faced a superior enemy. But sir, they are humans, a species that only achieved space travel 20 years ago. How can we call them superior? Because they are. Zethrax said simply. Not in age, not in territory, not in numbers, but in their ability to accomplish what we declared impossible. That makes them worthy of respect, regardless of their youth. The fleet jumped away, leaving empty space where a blockade had stood minutes before. Only the disabled ships remained, their crews waiting for rescue vessels that were already on their way. On the Defiant, Captain Vasquez finally allowed herself to breathe. The tension that had gripped her body for the past hour released all at once. She slumped slightly in her chair. Captain, are you all right? Chen asked with concern. I am now, she replied. But James, that was too close. If Zethrax had chosen to attack, we would have fired again, Chen finished. And we might have won. Or we might have destroyed ourselves. The quantum disruptors are not stable. Engineering is already reporting stress fractures in the containment systems. We could fire maybe 2 more times before the ship tears itself apart. Chen looked shocked. But you told him you could fire again safely. I told him nothing. I let him believe what he needed to believe. That is what negotiations are about, James. Making the other side understand the cost of their choices. 3 more human ships held position nearby. The reinforcements had arrived exactly on schedule. Vasquez opened a secure channel to their commanders. This is Captain Vasquez. Stand down from alert status. The immediate crisis is over. Begin scanning for any remaining Council forces. I want to know if anyone decides to come back. The other captains acknowledged her orders. Then one of them asked the question they were all thinking. Captain, did your quantum disruptors really work that well? We were not told the full capabilities. Vasquez smiled grimly. They worked exactly as designed, which means they are incredibly dangerous to everyone, including us. Make sure your engineers run full diagnostics. If we have to fight again, I want to know our ships will survive it. 6 hours later, the Defiant and its escort ships remained at Proxima Gate. They had witnessed the evacuation of thousands of alien crew members from the disabled vessels. Not a single human had interfered with the rescue operations. When Council E ships arrived to tow away the dead warships, Vasquez sent a simple message: "Safe travels. We hope next time we meet under better circumstances." Back on Earth, the celebration was overwhelming. Every city erupted in cheers. 14 billion humans had watched their species stand up to the galaxy and win. Not through conquest, not through destruction, but through determination and intelligence. Admiral Martinez contacted Vasquez from Earth Command. "Captain, I have been ordered by the President to commend you. Your actions today have changed everything. The Galactic Council has requested immediate negotiations. 6 species have offered formal recognition of our territorial claims. Even the Vextorian Empire has indicated they are willing to discuss diplomatic relations." "What about the disputed systems?" Vasquez asked. "Pending negotiations, but we believe we will retain them. The Council cannot afford to look weak by backing down completely, but they also cannot risk another confrontation. Compromise is likely." Vasquez felt a mix of emotions. Victory, yes, but also exhaustion and worry. "Admiral, we showed them our best weapon today. They will study it. They will find counters. Eventually, the quantum disruptors will not be enough." "I know," Martinez replied. "But you bought us time, Captain. Time to develop new technologies. Time to build real relationships with other species. Time to establish ourselves as more than just a threat. That is all we can ask." The transmission ended. Vasquez stood and walked to the observation window. She looked out at the stars, at the vast galaxy that humanity was just beginning to explore. Somewhere out there, hundreds of species were recalculating their understanding of humans. Some would be angry. Some would be fearful. Some might become true allies. "Captain," Chen said from behind her, "Earth Command is ordering us to return home. They want to honor the crew of the Defiant. Apparently we are heroes. We are survivors," Vasquez corrected. "Just like every human who came before us. We did what needed to be done." 3 months later, Commander Zethrax stood before the Galactic Council. Representatives from 200 species filled the massive chamber. Some looked at him with sympathy, others with contempt. He had failed in his mission after all. "Commander Zethrax," the council speaker began, "you will present your report on the incident at Proxima Gate." Zethrax stepped forward. His voice was steady and clear. "I encountered an enemy that defeated my forces through superior technology. I lost 50 ships without inflicting any damage. I retreated to preserve lives and gather intelligence. I recommend that the Council reconsider its position regarding humanity." "Are you suggesting we surrender to primitives?" a Kelvarix representative demanded. "I am suggesting we recognize reality," Zethrax replied. "The humans are not primitives. They are innovators who accomplished in 50 years what we have not achieved in thousands. They deserve respect not because we fear them, but because they earned it." "And if we refuse?" another council member asked. "Then we will face more conflicts. Conflicts we may not win. The humans have demonstrated they will not accept being dismissed. We can either acknowledge that and work with them, or we can fight a war none of us want." The debate lasted for days. Species argued about pride, about precedent, about power, but eventually practicality won. The council voted to grant humanity full recognition, not as junior members, not as primitives to be managed, but as equals. 6 months after the confrontation at Proxima Gate, Admiral Elena Vasquez entered the council chambers on the capital world. She wore her dress uniform, the medals on her chest representing Earth's highest honors. Behind her walked a small delegation of human diplomats and scientists. The chamber fell silent as she took her place at a newly constructed seat. The human seat. It was positioned equal to all the others, in the main circle rather than the outer rings where lesser species were placed. The council speaker addressed her formally. Admiral Vasquez, on behalf of the Galactic Council, we welcome humanity as full members. You have earned your place through courage and innovation. We look forward to working with your species. Vasquez stood to give her first address to the Council. She looked around at the hundreds of alien faces watching her. Some were friendly. Many were neutral. A few were openly hostile. But all of them were paying attention. That was what mattered. Members of the Council, she began, humanity does not come here seeking dominance. We do not come here to prove our superiority. We come here to remind you that the universe is bigger than your assumptions, that intelligence takes many forms, that age does not guarantee wisdom and youth does not mean ignorance. She paused, letting her words settle. We come here to learn from you and to teach you in return, to share our knowledge and benefit from yours, to build a galaxy where respect is given not by force but by recognition of each species' worth. We are humanity. We survived ice ages and plagues. We climbed from caves to stars. We turned impossible into reality. Because we refused to accept limitations, we are here now and we are not leaving. We hope you will meet us as friends and partners. But if you meet us as enemies, you will find that we are very good at survival. She sat down. The chamber remained silent for a moment. Then slowly some of the council members began what passed for applause in their various species. Clicks, hums, stomps, and gestures of respect filled the room. In orbit above the council world, 36 ships flew in formation. They were larger than the Defiant, more advanced, more powerful. The galaxy could see them clearly on every sensor. Earth's true fleet revealed at last, not for intimidation but as a statement of capability. The message was clear. Humanity had more than one trick, more than one weapon, more than one surprise waiting for anyone who underestimated them again. Commander Zethrax watched the human ships from his own vessel. He had been assigned as military liaison to Earth, a position he had accepted with honor. He had learned to respect these strange primates who turned disadvantages into advantages. His last report to the Vextorian High Command had been simple. Never assume inferiority based on age. Never dismiss unusual approaches to physics. Never underestimate species born from hardship. These are the lessons humanity taught us at Proxima Gate. We would be wise to remember them. The UNS Defiant, the ship that started it all, was retired to a museum on Luna. Millions of visitors came to see it every year. They walked through its corridors and stood on its bridge. They read about Captain Vasquez and her crew. They learned about the day humanity stopped being dismissed. But Earth's shipyards never stopped working. New vessels launched every month. Exploration ships, colony ships, research vessels, and yes, warships. Humanity was building its place in the galaxy, one ship at a time. The galaxy had laughed at one lone human ship, until it erased their fleet in seconds. Now no one was laughing. Now everyone was watching, wondering what humanity would do next, and humanity, as always, was ready to surprise them.